We'll give everybody just a minute to get back to their seats, and your music will start again, but I just want to make a few announcements and thank yous. This is a wonderful turnout today, and thank you all for coming to hear an exciting part of our church and our church music program. The poinsettias, the hydrangeas on the tables are courtesy of Sandy Nichols, and Mary Phillips brought them over, cut them, and here they are. If you want to take them home, fine and dandy. The vases belong to the church, so if you take the vase, bring it back. If not, we all have to clean them up. So, but this morning we're very, very pleased to have the Scotland ladies, the Scottish Scotland ladies here, and the program that they put forth is one that I think is one that will probably remain in their memories for a long, long time. So before, I know that there were 7 members of our congregation who went on the trip. It was sponsored through Doris Hill, Bloomington, Illinois Presbyterian Church, and their music program. And with just another couple of thanks for Mario, who put all this together. We appreciate that. I guess Mary Ann Sherman did quite a bit as well, so thank you both. And I've got to put my chef's hat on and thank the chef's crew this morning for a wonderful dinner. Thank you. Now, Sandy, you haven't told me quite what the whole program is going to start, but I would, everybody, I'd like to have those folks who were there stand up and start the program. Mary Ann, Ann, Sandy, Ginny, Priscilla. Did I get everybody?
Yes.
Good. Okay. And we're going to go for, we got about a half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that, and we're going to start right here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mary Ann Sherman, and I was one of the lucky few who were able to go to Scotland. What we wanted to do with you folks today is just share some of our music, which you've been seeing behind us, but we also wanted to share with you some of our stories about the trip and what was memorable for us. So each of us is going to come up in turn and just share some personal stories of what was meaningful. And I'm going to start with 3 personal stories. The first of which was when we received the original flyer to go to Scotland last September. It was a beautiful flyer, and it says, "Come to Scotland, it's a singing heritage tour. You'll be joined with the Bloomington, Illinois church." And of course, Doris was behind all of that, trying to get us. And they didn't have enough people, so Doris said, "I know some people who can sing." And so she introduced it to not only the church choir, but also the Masterworks chorale that also rehearses in this very room here. And so they handed out this flyer, and it's very impressive, and it says, "Come to Scotland, we're going to sing in these beautiful cathedrals, we're going to 4 different cities, we're doing all these performances, and oh, by the way, here's the cost." I don't know if you can see this little number right here, but it was $4,000. So, of course, the fun side of me said, "Oh, yeah, that would be really cool." But the practical side of me said, "Oh my gosh, $4,000, that's so much money, I don't know if I can do it." And I recently had moved into a new home, so I had a big mortgage, we have 2 kids in college, I had just started a new job, and I'd never taken 2 weeks off from this employer. So there were lots of reasons not to go. But I wanted to go. The heart of me wanted to go. And so I was hemming and hawing for over a month. And I know some people on the tour, they got the flyer and they said, "I'm in, I'm going." But I was like, I don't know. And the decision for me actually came when I was in church one Sunday. Doris was playing on the organ. And as you know, the choir members sit in the front rows and we watch and listen to Doris when she does the postlude. And she was playing on the organ and it was so beautiful. And I said to myself, I need to go to Scotland and see this woman play in the cathedral. I need to hear that music float up to the rafters. And that was the reason I decided that very day that I'm going to Scotland. And yes, I did write the check for the first $500 cost. But the beauty of the trip was you paid for it monthly, so it was less painful. You paid each month, and by springtime, you were all paid up and ready to go. My second story that I wanted to share with you, which was almost as important and meaningful to me as the trip was the rehearsals. We had 18 songs that we needed to learn, and some of them were very challenging. And I've had no formal training in singing, so, I pick up the music and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to learn this? And it was hard, and we couldn't have done it without Brian's help. He actually coached us, and thank you so much for that. That was imperative to our We also did something on our own. We called it woodshedding, and we met at Ann Fay's dining room table, and we sat in a circle around her table with refreshments. We had snacks and hors d'oeuvres and some tonal lubrication, to help us. And we sounded better and better as the evening went on. But we did that for many, many weeks, and we had such a fellowship amongst us all, learning the songs and singing around the table. And we could hear all the parts because we were sitting in a circle and we could sing to each other. And it was just a really, really powerful journey to get us to Scotland. And then the third moment I wanted to share with you, I have lots more actually, but the third moment was this lovely guy. The Sunday before we were to leave, I was presented with Stu Bear. And I was in shock because I'd already packed my suitcase and there was no way he was going to fit in my suitcase. So I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to take him to Scotland? But what I did was I hooked him to my backpack, so he got to see everything. And he actually slept in the overhead bin, and he had a very comfortable night on the airplane, too. But Stu Bear was, just as Craig was saying in the service this morning, he was an ambassador. He was a conversation starter. You would walk into a room, whether it was in a cathedral, a shopping store, anywhere you were, I had him with me at all times. And as you can see, we dressed him as well, and he came back very Scottish. But he would be a conversation breaker. People would come up to us and say, who's this? So in Scotland, his name was Stuart. And of course, that resonated with all the Scottish folks. They loved Stuart. So in Scotland, he became Stuart. But he was our stewardship there, and he loved his journey. And one of his favorite moments, I have to share with you, was we were coming out of a church that we were sightseeing in. I'm trying to remember the name of it, and that was one of the problems I had with traveling. I couldn't remember all the places we went. But we came out of this beautiful church, and I could hear bagpipes playing in the background. And I skedaddled over there, and I grabbed Stu Bear, and we stood in front of the guy. He was warming up for a wedding, and he was in his full attire, and he was playing his bagpipes. And I stood there with Stu Bear, and I'm like, I gotta do this. I gotta go see if he'll let me take a picture of Stuart with the bagpiper. And sure enough, I went up to him, and I said, would you allow me to take a picture with our Stu Bear? And he said, of course. And so that was one of his favorite moments, was to stand with an actual bagpiper playing bagpipe music in Scotland. So that was his favorite moment. So what I thought I'd do next, those are some of my favorite moments, and that's just some of them. I have many more, but I thought I'd share with the other lovely ladies that I went to Scotland with to see if they'd like to come up and share a story. So who wants to go? Okay, Anne's going to come up next.
I'll be very short.
That's okay. I'll stand with
Okay. It was actually at a men's breakfast that I heard about this Scotland trip. And my ears picked up and I said, oh, I want to go, but I don't sing. So they said, well, you can come as a friend of the church, just a friend of the choir. Oh, then some of these gals, they said, you go, you got to sing. I go to the I'm sorry, Brian. I go to the first rehearsal, and I think it was the second song, and I closed my folder, and I'm walking away, and she says, don't you dare leave. She says, stay and sing. So I did, and I'm so glad I did. It was the most beautiful experience of my life, singing with all these wonderful people and meeting all these wonderful people. And I have a story about Stu Bear also. Marianne and I, we were next to a store who made the kilts. And so we knew they'd have material up there, and we thought maybe we could get something make a bow tie. So we went up there, and we told them all about the Stu Bear, and the lady was so kind, and she helped us look for the piece. And then when we found it, she gave it to us. She says, don't need to pay for it. So and Jenny made the skirt for him. With his kid. I'm sorry. Also, one of the singers was Crystal, whom I hosted when they sang in our church last March. And so, she's a wonderful gal. And she calls me Oma. So we said, Oma, we gotta have a picture. And when we went to Bloomington, she was there, took a picture, and let the other gal, Grace Wolf, know. She texted her. She says, Oma's in the house. So, anyways, I'm so glad I went. It was wonderful.
We'll try and be short as well. Marianne was talking about hearing the music waft up. Well, Marianne and I were walking into a mall that was attached to the hotel. And as we walked into the mall, I remember we stopped and went, I cannot believe it. Mall music is Come to the Water, which was one of the songs, one of the pieces we were singing. I said, what on earth, mall? It's a Christian song. What on earth mall would be having the mall music be Come to the Water? So we walked a little further, and the reason we were in the mall, Anne had the face of Anne's iPhone had shattered. So we were looking for an Apple store so that we could see what the hours were, so that if we could get something, get a new face for it. We walked around the corner, and there sitting at a piano under a staircase was Doris, practicing Come to the Water. And it wafted all over the mall. And there was Jim, who was one of my bus buddies. I had two. One I had to watch and one who fell asleep on my shoulder every day. If those of you who've had kids who fall asleep before you're out of the driveway, Jim was one of those people who fell asleep before the bus pulled away from the curb. And he tried to sit down, and I said, don't. But I got to sit next to the window, so that worked for me. But here is Doris, and here is Jim, and so of course, and Sandy. Sandy, where are you? You were over there with her, I think. So Marianne and I went over, and we all start singing our pieces. Because when Marianne mentioned we had 18 pieces to learn, we were encouraged to memorize those 18 pieces. Now, I realize that middle age gets older, and my middle age has now exceeded 70. But I've got to tell you, my brain doesn't memorize like it used to. So memorizing those pieces, although with Brian's help, and with home lubrication, and Mother's hand, we actually just about have those pieces memorized. So here we are singing our pieces at this mall, and people are stopping to hear us. And Crystal, who stayed with Anne and who has a gorgeous soprano voice, also stopped by and sang, and we had people applauding in the mall, which was also special. And another one, speaking of people coming up, and this was something else that Marianne and I shared. The very first cathedral we sang in was St. Giles in Edinburgh, which is huge, huge cathedral, beautiful. And the signs you see on the table were from St. Giles, well, other places too, but the first time we saw them was at St. Giles. And they have different choirs who come in, and it's open, there are tours. But there's like a central place where the choir is, and then all of the arms, like from overhead, I'm sure it looks like a cross. All the arms go in different directions, but it's a mammoth place. We were singing, and we were singing Precious Lord, Take My Hand. And oh, golly, it was just, Marianne and I were standing, I was singing tenor, and Marianne was singing alto, so we were on the same side. And there is a little girl with her father. And we were singing Precious Lord, which has some quiet parts, quiet pieces to it. And this little girl is pulling on her daddy's hand to come up. As we're singing Precious Lord, Take My Hand, she's pulling on her daddy's hand, and he's trying to signal, and she's pulling on her daddy's hand to come up and listen to us. I teared right up. I lost the next 2 lines of music. I was watching this. It was so special. And
Yeah, I had the same experience. I actually started bawling. I mean, the tears were coming down my face. And the good thing for me was I had lost my voice, so I couldn't sing anyways. But the tears are coming down my face. It was Precious Lord, Take My Hand. And it was like a theatrical moment with the words, the cathedral, and this little girl. She just wanted to get as close as she possibly could to us. And our conductor, Scott, had said that you never know when you're going to touch someone with your music. And it can be just one person. And for me, that little girl was that one person that we touched. She just wanted to be surrounded by us and singing and come as close as she could. And it was so precious.
it was special. It was special. And I don't know if you noticed at the very beginning, and since Mario's going to be posting the link to these, a lot of these were put together by Lauren Scott, who is Doris's granddaughter, who did a beautiful job putting a lot of these things together. A lot of Mary Ann's pictures are in there, which I'm grateful, because otherwise not too many of the Skaneateles people would be seen. But one of the things, take a look at the very beginning. You will see something that the minister or the pastor of the last parish church we sang at, her father came to Christ by hearing the music, the 1909, which was one of the pieces we sang, and that's what's first on the video. And the other thing is from Morna McFadden. I love that name. Morna McFadden, who wrote the last church, the parish church we sang in. A very small group of people were there to hear us, but she said it was something so special. And she wrote a letter thanking us, and that's also on there. And I say those two things because I think what was especially central to me, the people are lovely. The Scottish people are just as warm and sunny as the weather is rainy. It rained 12 out of the 11 days we were there. But it was just, the people are so warm and kind. They would wave goodbye as the bus was pulling away. This one woman in the red jacket is waving and running after us. I mean, they were just delightful people. And Ginny, you have got to tell the story about the tie.
Oh, jeepers. Now?
Yeah.
About the time.
Ginny has some of the best stories of it.
Well, they told you that it rains in Scotland, so when I packed my bags to get ready to go, they're all talking about what they're going to bring. So I ordered a special jacket that said that it was water resistant, and I thought that was going to be good enough. But after about 15 minutes, I was soaked to the bone. So I was like, so I got all the way up to Edinburgh Castle, and I went into Edinburgh, I went into the gift shop, and I'm like, I need an umbrella, because I'm not going to make it through Scotland without something to keep myself dry. So I bought myself a nice tartan umbrella. So I'm pleasantly enjoying my umbrella, and I'm walking around, and these lovely ladies convinced me that we should go to the whiskey tour. So you get in this little boat, and they take you, it's like one of those fake plastic boats, and you go around and you look at all these special effects and the story of how they make whiskey. And so I was really enjoying that. And then you go into a tasting room and you have tastes of whiskey, and we had to buy the expensive ticket. So after you get done with that, then you go to the bar and you have a flight of whiskey. So by the time I got done with that flight, So then I realized that I had left my umbrella in the boat, and I'm still wet. So I asked if they could look for my umbrella, and of course somebody else needed an umbrella, so they took my umbrella. So I no longer had an umbrella, so I'm like, okay, I just want something to get dry. So I found the only thing that they had in the whiskey store to buy to keep myself dry was a poncho, a clear poncho that said on it, "Today's rain is tomorrow's whiskey." So I'm care what I was wearing as long as So I'm wearing around my whiskey poncho, you know. The next morning, it's still raining, and I put on my whiskey poncho, and I'm thinking, I kind of regret this decision. So, I went for a couple of days with the whiskey poncho, and then I found a nice little compact umbrella that would fit into my purse, so I bought the compact umbrella, and so I had that for a little while, and then we went, but I was still wearing, it was a little umbrella, you know, so it didn't keep all of me dry. So at the last place that we stopped, I got a poncho, a rain poncho, an official Scottish rain poncho that was black and didn't say whiskey on it, because I was kind of, you know, you think about it, I'm wandering around all of Scotland and saying today's rain is tomorrow's whiskey, you know, with this clear poncho. It's like, hey, look, there's an American. So I decided I didn't want to look like a tourist anymore at my second to last day in Scotland. So the reason why Stu Bear has this tie is because it is actually, you know how they have the outside sleeve on the umbrellas? That is my umbrella cover that I turned into a tie for Stu Bear. So I have two more favorite stories. One of them is to kind of, when you go on a trip with people and you don't know them at all, I just wanted to let you know there's a couple things that we did every day, which was to have a Bible lesson on the bus every day. We talked about the stories that were in we read Bible verses, and we also had, we looked at what the songs that we were singing meant, and that was really quite nice. But there were some days where they would release people and let them go walking around town, and I could only walk for so far before my knees decided that they've carried me far enough. So I went back to the hotel to use the hot tub, and I met this lovely woman named Deanna who was doing the same thing. And we had dinner together that night, and this is the kind of people that go to Bloomington Church. In the middle of our dinner, she hears a call for somebody looking for a doctor, and she is a nurse. There had been an emergency in the pool that we had just come from. There was a guy who had a heart attack. So what does she do? She leaves dinner, goes and helps the guy out. So, you know, I sat at dinner for a really long time waiting for her to come back, and eventually she did. But that's the kind of people, the people from Bloomington are very helpful and wanting to help other people. My last favorite story is about my roomie, Ann. Ann and I were roommates, and I did not know Ann at all. She was just one of those people that sat in the back of the church, and I waved to her from the choir. So she came in really, really excited one night because she told me that she had found a brochure translated into Dutch, and that doesn't happen very often, and she was so excited, she started talking to me in Dutch. I was like, Ann, I don't understand you. She says, oh, and she starts talking in Dutch again. I'm like, Ann, I don't speak Dutch. So then she laughed and translated for me. But it was really lovely getting to know my roommate, Ann. So thank you very much. So we get to know each other very well. Who's next?
You've heard all the stories, and I'm not going to tell you any great stories about the trip. Just to say that here we are, October 2017. We started thinking about this venture in October 2016. So we have been one whole year of doing this music and bonding as friends and maintaining friendships from far, far away, as far away as Scotland. I want to tell you that when Doris left here in January, there was a big void in all of our hearts. But we carried on. She healed us as much as we could heal, and we are fine today. However, many of us said, road trip, we have to go see Doris in her new confines. Her new confines are her old church, her new church, from when she was a child growing up. So we made arrangements to go, and 2 weekends ago, 4 of us drove to Bloomington, Illinois. We left on Friday morning at 6 o'clock.
I got to Marianne's at 5. Yes.
We finally found where Ann lived in Weedsport and picked her up. So we
Just a
drove.
big problem, it's
We drove nonstop except for potty breaks and gas breaks. We had a wonderful time bonding, telling stories, and just, I don't think we sang, but anyway. We got to Doris's about, what, 6:30 that night? Because she's behind an hour.
7:30, it took us 13 hours.
13 hours, but it was really 6:30 her time when we got there. So she was delighted to see us. She has a beautiful home. We all stayed in her beautiful home. There was plenty of room, and there's plenty of room for more of you. I know that Dante and Mel and Mario are going out in November, and she would welcome anybody who wants to come. So we told her that one of our greatest fears was that we had not had enough time to practice singing an anthem, that we were going to join her choir on Sunday to sing. This is Saturday. So Doris gets at the piano, and we rehearse and and finally said, I'm going to sing. So that was wonderful. We told her, you're going to sing. So she was fine with that. So we had, on Sunday morning, actually Saturday afternoon, we went over to the church and we practiced because we also took some bells with us. We put Stu Bear up on the organ and just left him there, thinking, well, somebody will move him, and that's okay. We came back Sunday morning and Stu Bear is still sitting on the organ, so that's where he belonged. We played bells, and we're going to play one piece for you before you leave. And they were so inspired and just absolutely loved our musical offering. And then we came together in the front of the church and played an anthem, and then we scooted up into the choir and we sang this tremendous anthem called Blessed Be the God and Father by Samuel Sebastian Wesley, who was one of the composers who wrote a song that we sang in Scotland. And Scott Ferguson was the director of the choir. Of course, he's the one who directed us in Scotland. He was so excited. He was like a little kid, jumping up and down, hugging us, kissing us, smiles from ear to ear. And all the people that we had gone to Scotland with were there singing as well. Some were in the congregation, but most of them were in the choir. And they were equally as excited to have us return and sing. So we've come full circle with this. We have brothers and sisters in another state that we'll always have. Hopefully we can go and be with them again. We did find out one thing. They have bells in their church, which have lain dormant for decades. Doris wasn't even sure she knew that they were there. They also have chimes, which are in excellent shape. So we have given them our music, our Amazing Grace, and told them that they can do this. They only need 4 people, and they can play this for Advent, and they can enjoy the gift that we brought to them. Because, after all, music is the universal language, and wherever we go, our mission of music goes with us. Whether it's to Scotland, whether it's just across the street, whether it's to Bloomington, wherever we go, it's just our wonderful experience. And so, should we close with Amazing Grace? We're going to show some more videos if you want to stick around afterwards, but we would like to close with Amazing Grace that we played in Bloomington, if that's okay with you. And if you feel so inclined to sing along, you may. This is what we do.
folks have done and been part of both our music program, Doris's music program, and those across the Atlantic into Scotland. I got a little Scottish in me. I forgot to wear my tartan, so I have to apologize. But one of the things that I want you all to know that any of the net proceeds that we make coming out after our expenses here will all go to the music and choir program. So, Brian, you can think of something else to spend it on. So, I know it'll be well done.